Fraser Island, or Gari as it's traditionally known, is the world's largest sand island. UNESCO World Heritage listed, an absolute four-wheel driver's paradise with remote beach camping, gorgeous lakes, forests and wildlife, and where we're going to be spending the next 4 days to finally tick this gem off the bucket list.
First road trip of the year. I am in Rainbow Beach with my brother. We're about to meet up with the crew tomorrow morning and head over to Fraser Island, so let's jump into it.
Kicking off in terrible weather, we headed north through Brisbane, hoping to leave the rain behind as we headed out of the city and into the greener countryside surrounding Rainbow Beach, which for this trip is to be our gateway to Gari. The township of Rainbow Beach itself providing an iconic stop-off to explore its colourful sand cliffs, climb the Carlo Sandblow for views of Double Island and Inskip Peninsula, and even fit in some sandboarding, which always proves to be a bit of a workout. Continuing north, we spent the night camped up on the beautiful but unfortunately still rainy Inskip Peninsula, ready to jump straight across onto the island. Here, the real Fraser adventure starts. Meeting up with our crew, we took the barge before hitting the sand with a flying start. The island is a huge 123 kilometres long and about 20 kilometres wide, so it goes without saying that there is a lot here to explore. Especially, like us, if it's your first time visiting and camping on the island. Our destination for the trip is a remote beach camping zone towards the northern end of the island. Access crosses small creeks, long sandy stretches and short inland tracks. For us, being a very last minute trip and vehicle choice, also bringing the start of a few clutch issues and what would make for a pretty interesting trip. The camping zones across the island vary in location and access, with our convoy setting up just out from Ocean Lake, the closest lake to the ocean on Fraser Island at just a kilometre in. It's an awesome spot to have access to both salt and fresh water right in the sand dunes. In fact, looking at the camps across the island for all number of setups, I can definitely see why there is such a great reputation for laid-back remote beachside camping, fishing and four-wheel driving here. Exploring the island's eastern tip, we headed down to 4wding Point. A popular spot for a swim, walk, and lookout, preferably in clearer weather. Before making the most of the wet but still hot weather with a splash and a swim back at the lake. Cooling off right into the sunset for the afternoon. Day 2 on Fraser, our convoy headed out along the coast to hit some of the island's most recognisable and touristy destinations. Our first stop being to the iconic Mahino wreck, a 1905 built turbo-driven steamship that ran aground after hitting cyclonic storm conditions in Queensland's waters, with the wreck being just one of over 20 recorded on the island before its grounding in 1935. Thankfully, our weather, while still rainy, was a hell of a lot nicer than that, so we headed on to stop 2 at Eli Creek. This is a definite bucket list stop for me, with a beautiful boardwalk leading off the beach and into the trees along Eli Creek, the largest creek on the eastern beaches of the island. The creek is crystal clear with fresh water flowing out to sea from an ancient aquifer, thought to be about 200 years old. Now, when it comes to grabbing a tube and floating down a creek, I don't think you can get much fresher or better than that. Stop 3 heads us further down the beach and into the sandy inland tracks to weave between sections of forest. Here we head for Lake Wabi, a vibrant green lake on the Central Lakes Scenic Drive and the deepest lake on the island, measuring impressively with a depth over 11 metres. Edged by hammerstone sand blow, it really is the perfect spot to grab a board and slide down the dunes. And then, of course, cool off before trekking back up the sand. Workout over, we headed for Central Station for lunch, another lovely spot with clear flowing water, walks, and a rich history of the past logging and forestry operations of the now heritage listed area. Saving Lake Mackenzie with its crowded beaches for another visit, we wrap up the day with a trip to the Champagne Pools. I can't say this was a personal favourite after the rain, but imagine it would be a nice spot for a swim with different tides. Waking up to yet another beachside sunrise, today was all about hanging out and making the most of relaxing on island time. This meant a whole lot more swimming, beach visits, dingo watching, and food stops hanging out on the island's northern end. It also took us up to South Ningala Rocks, a popular four-wheel driving spot, for a drive and afternoon on the now quieter part of the island. Before wrapping up one final night in camp.
Okay, ready? Oh. 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 Come on, Mama, go! Bring it! Mama, go!
Packing up for our final morning, we picked the tides and headed south back down the island. The collie proving to have had a bit of a rough time with a worn out clutch, but with a helping hand from our incredible crew making the convoy off the island nonetheless. There's no doubt to me that Fraser earns its title as one of Australia's best islands, from its camping to driving, creeks, lakes and wildlife. But with so much more to explore, all I can say is thank you, and until next time, Fraser. What an awesome trip to kick off the start of the year.